That's how you're supposed to grab it? Yeah, that works. Now, toss it over. You can grab it, sure, but tossing doesn't work. Nope, nope. Wait, what's this? Oh, it gave me a scare. It's this interface.
Huawei officially kicked off the Mate 70 series launch event on November 26th, drawing significant attention from media and consumers alike. The promotional video emphasized the slogan, "Grab and release, control the moment," highlighting the Mate 70's AI air gesture transfer feature. This technology, touted as using advanced AI algorithms and sensors, allows users to transfer photos or screenshots via hand gestures without touching the screen. However, some people questioned its practicality. One user, trying out the feature, found it unsuccessful for unclear reasons. The Mate 70's design immediately sparked debate. Many noted that it looked too similar to Honor's low-end models, leaving some Huawei fans hesitant. Honor is a Chinese electronics company formerly under Huawei.
I reserved the Huawei Mate 70 yesterday, but honestly, I feel no excitement at all. Have you seen this? It feels like Huawei copied Honor. I spent 10,000 yuan on this phone, but it feels like a budget model worth 1,000 yuan. What are we supposed to do as consumers? We buy Huawei, paying nearly 10,000 yuan, expecting a phone that meets that standard, not something mistaken for an Honor model that costs 3,000 yuan. I can't believe anyone buying the Mate 70 would feel okay about seeing a phone identical to an Honor, which was even released earlier. Would you feel good about that?
What's puzzling is that the Honor X60 Pro, which closely resembles the Mate 70, was released before Huawei's flagship. Typically, high-end models debut first to showcase the latest design and tech, trickling down to mid- and low-end models later. This reverse strategy has left many confused. People are questioning Huawei's market approach and brand positioning, suggesting it feels backwards. Some joked, it's like a father giving birth to a son, but the son ends up giving birth to the father. Others weren't as kind, with one blogger bluntly stating, the Mate 70's design is absolutely horrendous. Critics added, it's all about copying appearances without focusing on core functionality. A company doing this is just about surface-level gimmicks, not real innovation.
The Mate 70 series is a flop. We've been waiting half a year, and now it's nothing but complaints. Who would have thought the Mate 70 Pro Plus would be cheaper than last year's 60 Pro Plus? A phone costing 5,000 to 6,000 yuan has no distinctive design and looks worse than mid-range models. People are saying it drags down the Mate series reputation and that they'd rather buy the Mate 60. Even Xiaomi's 4,000 to 5,000 yuan phones look better. And every time a Mate is released, Huawei chairman Richard Yu says that it's the strongest Mate ever. Do you think the Mate 70 is truly ahead of its time? The Mate 70 Standard Edition is pathetic. It's been gutted so badly. No 3D face recognition, just 2D and side-mounted. Even the camera hasn't been upgraded. The red maple imaging feature? Only available on the Pro and Pro Plus. It's like the Standard Edition is breaking some cosmic rule. With all these cuts, they're still pricing it at 5,499 yuan to start. Huawei's approach to squeezing consumers is sharp, I'll give them that.
On November 26 at 2:30 p.m., Huawei announced pricing for the Mate 70 series. The Mate 70 Standard Edition starts at 5,499 yuan. The Pro version starts at 6,499 yuan. The Mate 70 Pro Plus starts at 8,499 yuan. The Mate 70 RS Master Edition starts at 11,999 yuan. The foldable Mate X6 starts at 12,999 yuan, with a collector's edition at 14,999 yuan. The Mate series began pre-orders on November 18th, and by the 28th, around 3.4 million reservations had been made. Many wonder how many of these reservations will turn into actual purchases, and how many buyers might regret it. The Mate 70's AI air transfer feature gained significant public attention, with many finding it flashy but impractical. Richard Yu, Huawei's executive director and head of the consumer BG, demonstrated the feature, saying, "Grab, release, and the picture is in your hand." The video showed users capturing and transferring images using gestures. While the feature integrates multi-device transfer and gesture recognition, many viewers were unimpressed. Comments flooded in. Hilarious, and then what? What's the point of this feature? Why make it so complicated when a button press can do the same thing? This is just a gimmick so Huawei can capture your palm data, including fingerprints and palm prints. Disgusting. It's all show and no substance. Some users shared hands-on experiences online, comparing the Mate 70 to its predecessor. They noted that while the camera bump was less pronounced, the frame and back cover felt disjointed, making it uncomfortable to hold without a case. Others mentioned it was too wide for single-handed use. At the same time, they lamented the lack of opportunity to try the Mate X6 in stores, suggesting interested buyers visit stores before deciding. Software analysis revealed that the Mate 70 uses the older Kirin 9010 chip, while the Mate 70 Pro Plus and RS models feature the new 12-core Kirin 9020, not the anticipated Kirin 9100. Amid the ongoing US-China tech conflict, Huawei's chip supply chain faces significant challenges, with the origins of the Kirin chips remaining unclear. The Kirin 9020 chip was ridiculed online. This is the weakest Mate series standard version ever. Where's the hyped Kirin 9100? Hit a roadblock? Can't make it? It's just a tweaked version of the Kirin 9010. I'm definitely not buying. Is this the strongest Mate ever? Richard Yu really talks big. Huawei's market strategy might have been well-intentioned, but the lack of transparency has caused significant consumer skepticism. Tech enthusiasts looking for top-tier performance also pointed out that Huawei's processors still lag behind Apple's A shares, Qualcomm's Snapdragon flagships, and MediaTek's top-tier Dimensity chips. Among all the features, the Harmony OS system has drawn the most attention. Richard Yu announced that the Huawei Mate 70 series and Mate X6 would offer Harmony OS 4.3 and native Harmony options. Starting next year, all new Huawei phones and tablets will use native Harmony. Globally, Android and iOS dominate the mobile OS market, essentially holding a duopoly. While Huawei claims its new native system supports 15,000 apps, this is far fewer than the millions available on Android and iOS. In the beta phase of Harmony Next, many users reported compatibility issues with mainstream apps. One notable problem was with WeChat, which lagged significantly and frequently displayed network instability warnings during video calls. These issues frustrated users. One blogger even posted on social media that they were considering reverting to an earlier version of the OS due to poor WeChat performance. The blogger said that while most other apps worked fine, the issues with WeChat were a deal-breaker. As a widely used app with billions of users, its performance directly influences the overall perception of the system. Analysts in China have pointed out that while the Mate 70 boasts impressive specs, it falls short compared to high-end Android models at similar price points. The Kirin 9020 processor, for example, does not match the performance of Qualcomm's latest Snapdragon 8. Additionally, the Harmony OS ecosystem still struggles to compete with well-established Android and iOS systems. Niu Baoshu, a former back-end engineer at a major internet company, recently told the media that Huawei's initial Harmony OS was essentially a rebranded Android system. According to him, the original Harmony OS simply replaced Android's user interface and rebranded it as a proprietary operating system. Over time, Huawei gradually replaced Android's underlying architecture, culminating in what is now known as the native Harmony OS. The native version no longer relies on Android's core, including the AOSP Android open source project, making it incompatible with existing Android applications. He added, developing an independent operating system is not as difficult as imagined, since it often builds upon open source software. The real challenge lies in creating an ecosystem around that operating system. From a product performance perspective, Huawei's Mate 70 Pro has failed to deliver on some of the advanced features touted during its launch. For instance, the software experience leaves much to be desired. Some users report that the built-in system interface lacks smoothness, with occasional lagging issues. Such inconsistencies, particularly in a flagship product, have caused disappointment among consumers who expect premium performance at a high price point.
So, there's a new issue. My browser won't work. Everything else seems fine, but it keeps crashing and going to a black screen. Is anyone else experiencing this?
Huawei's Mate system update strategy has come under heavy criticism, with some users noting that new updates fail to address existing issues while introducing new problems. This pattern has significantly impacted the user experience, as customers often feel let down by persistent bugs or degraded functionality after updates. The Mate series was heavily marketed for its advanced photography capabilities, yet some users have reported disappointing results. Complaints include color distortion and inaccurate focusing, which are particularly particularly damaging for a high-end phone that positions itself as a leader in mobile photography. These shortcomings undermine one of the key selling points of the device. Another significant factor contributing to Huawei's declining reputation is its inadequate after-sales service. The decline in the Mate 70 series reputation is no coincidence. It stems from unmet performance and expectations, a subpar software experience, and inadequate after-sales support. These issues collectively impact consumer purchasing decisions and have dealt a noticeable blow to Huawei's brand image. In September, Huawei released a triple-fold smartphone that was hailed as a pinnacle of technological innovation. However, within 3 months of launch, numerous quality issues surfaced. Users reported that the phone was prone to breaking, leaking fluid, developing visible creases, experiencing system lags, suffering from poor battery life, and having weak signal reception. Whatever you do, don't buy Huawei's triple-fold phone. A bunch of my friends got it, and they all ended up with broken screens. Look at mine. I just dropped it lightly and it shattered. Worse, after it broke, the screen stopped working entirely. Replacing the screen costs 8,000 yuan. It's not about being able to afford it, it's just ridiculous. What if I drop it again? Honestly, too many people I know have had the same issue. Huawei, give us an explanation. Why is replacing the screen so expensive? Are you trying to make us spend extra money? Public opinion on Huawei's triple-fold phone is highly polarized. Some say, grown-ups wouldn't buy a phone like this, while others mock it as fragile junk and called the design industrial waste. These remarks highlight widespread skepticism about the phone.
Huawei's triple phone has really fallen apart, hasn't it? In a country with relatively low average income, they're launching such an expensive and flashy product. Back when Huawei was popular, you couldn't criticize it without being attacked. But now it's clear, this strategy doesn't work. A country's flagship industry should cater to the needs of the general public, not just the high-end consumers. Take Apple, for example. In the US, you can buy an iPhone with just a few days' wages. Meanwhile, Huawei's triple phone would take half a year or even a year's salary here. What's the point?
Consumers are increasingly questioning the practicality of Huawei's triple-fold phone. Many argue that basic features like battery life, processing speed, and camera quality are far more important than novelty designs. If this design doesn't deliver tangible benefits to users, its market prospects will be severely limited. Huawei's unique position, supported by resources from the Chinese government and military, has allowed it to gain political prominence far beyond the commercial realm. However, its reliance on domestic branding campaigns to counter sanctions has led to diminishing technological competitiveness on the global stage. For instance, in June, Huawei announced a new AI processor, the Ascend 910C, to rival NVIDIA's H100 chips. However, by November, U.S. restrictions escalated. Following an order from the U.S. Department of Commerce, TSMC halted the sale of 7nm and more advanced chips to mainland Chinese clients. 2 days later, the United States also asked Samsung and Intel to comply. The proportion of Samsung's Chinese customers with 7nm and below processes is significantly higher than that of TSMC, accounting for about 30%. To counteract these pressures, Huawei launched the Harmony OS Next system in October 2024. This represents the 5th iteration of Harmony OS since 2019. While earlier versions maintained compatibility with Android, the new Harmony OS marks a shift towards a closed ecosystem. This move reflects a broader trend of decoupling from international standards, a strategy that began decades ago with China's creation of the Great Firewall. For the past few months, Huawei has been boasting about its Harmony OS mobile operating system. But many technology experts say it would be foolish to launch such a new mobile operating system because it is unlikely to build a business ecosystem. So far, Apple mobile phones have evolved to 3nm processors since the iPhone 15 in 2023, and Huawei mobile phone chips have been far behind. American economist Davey J. Wong believes that 3nm and 2nm advanced process chips are the core competitiveness of high-end smartphones and future AI equipment. Huawei currently has difficulty breaking through the bottleneck of the 7nm process, and the yield rate of 7nm is not high. Huawei can continue to rely on a closed space in the Chinese market, constantly touting itself as a domestic brand, censoring and even jailing dissenters. But in the global market, Huawei cannot compete with Apple and Samsung. It would only have markets in the areas of Asia, Africa, and Latin America where information is closed and access requirements are not high. In the short term, its global influence is low and is impossible to reverse it. In the medium to long term, it will be difficult for Huawei to become the choice of the global mid to high-end market.